Hello everyone, and welcome to this session. I really appreciate the time you're giving whether you're attending live or if you're gonna watch this later on in the recorded version of this session. Allow me first to introduce myself. My name is Rodrigue Hammal. I'm from Lebanon. I am a filmmaker and a certified Theta Healing Practitioner. In the last couple of years, these two paths have crossed over, and I'm beginning to manifest projects and films that tackle mental health and human relations. And what I like about these two different words that sometimes I use them both, which means I can use theta healing and my knowledge in this modality to write my projects, and at the same time I use my skills as storyteller to explain about theta healing, or if I want to ease my clients throughout the session. So Kifna Lyom, or how are we doing today? This is the title of this session. Usually we have people ask us this question. So people ask us, how are you? And how often do we really tell the truth of how we are feeling? And if we hide something, why do we hide this? And most importantly, how often we give ourselves the courage and the time to ask ourselves, how am I doing today? To look in the mirror or to even think, how am I doing today? It's a very triggering question. So, when I began to plan the content of this session, all I kept thinking of is I want, by the time people finish watching or attending, to feel a bit better about themselves, to understand how their emotions work, and also to have some extra knowledge by the end of the day about how our brain functions, how our emotion functions, how the two are connected together, and how this affects our feelings and our body, whether it's on a physical or energetic level. Before I begin, I would like to invite you all to join me in a short guided meditation, and then I'm gonna start talking about theta healing and the topic of today, which is emotions. I would like you to close your eyes, take a comfortable position, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and release from your mouth. Now imagine a beautiful source of energy coming from the core of Mother Earth, and it's going up your feet. It's relaxing your feet, your knees, your thighs, your spine, every single organ of your body. And this energy keeps shooting up from the top of your head, from the crown of your head, forming a beautiful ball of light. Now imagine you are inside this ball of light. You can see through it. You can even pick a color for it. This is your ball of light. And as you are inside this safe ball of light, now visualize that you are going up inside this ball, past the room where you are right now, past the building, the house, the skies, the planets. You're gonna see stars, bright lights, darker lights. Keep repeating in your head, up, going up. And as you keep going up, you're gonna reach a layer, a golden layer that feels so bright and golden. This place might feel familiar to you. You might recognize some faces. But I want you for now to keep going up and up until you reach a layer that looks and feels like jelly. And slowly this ball of light is gonna dissolve and you're gonna feel that you are swimming in this jelly substance, like excited by the colors and the shapes you're gonna see. You might see geometrical shapes, all kind of colors. It's very exciting, feels good. And among those colors, I want you to focus on a bright white light, a pearly, iridescent light. Keep heading towards that light. The further you go, the higher you go, the better you will feel. And as you reach this white light, imagine that you are dissolving like sugar in water in this light. Don't worry, you're not going to disappear. You're becoming one with this light. And repeat in your head, I am never separate from all that is. I am one with God. I am one with love. I am one with God. I am one with love. And open your eyes. And now that I have guided you through this meditation, let's begin our talk. So, what is Theta Healing? Theta Healing is a modality that was created by Viana Stibel in 1995, and it's an effective therapy for achieving spiritual and physical healing. So, and when I say spiritual and physical, I'm going to explain further about this. When I say spiritual, this does not mean that this modality or this technique goes against any religion or invites you to give up on your religion. No, that's not it. The purpose of this modality is to bring us closer to what you want to call God or the universe or the creator, the highest energy, the source, as long as in our head we know that this, what we're talking about, what we're referring to as God or creator, is simply a pure source of unconditional love. And from the scientific part of it, I must say that Theta Healing, like any kind of supportive modality or complementary therapies, it's a supplement therapy. It does not substitute medicine or any medical intervention. Theta Healing is also a great way to release anger, release resentment, rejection, regret, all those emotions that we would like to release when dealing with trauma. And we can also benefit from this modality to solve irrational fears, phobias, any kind of emotional or physical blockage that is happening in our system. So, why is it called Theta Healing? It's because we have in our brain 5 brain waves that we use on different circumstances or different situations. For instance, now I'm talking, I'm communicating, I'm on a beta brainwave. And for those of you who are watching and getting new information and learning, you are on a gamma brainwave. If you are relaxing or meditating or even daydreaming, you would be on an alpha brainwave. When you are in a very deep sleep, you are on a delta brainwave. So, what is theta brainwave? Theta brainwave is, you know, that feeling when you are about to fall asleep, you know, as if you feel that your body is, you know, falling, you have no control over it, or when you instantly wake up, or when we see someone who is asleep and his eyelids are moving quickly, they would be in REM sleep. This is when we are in a theta brainwave. It is also when we are in a state of hypnosis. So when the brain is on a theta brainwave, it allows us to tap into the subconscious. And why is it important to tap into the subconscious? Because the subconscious is like our hard drive inside our brain, where we store all the information, all the data, including emotions, beliefs, and sometimes feelings. And this hardware, the subconscious, is around 88% of our brain, and the rest, about 12%, are the conscious part of our brain. So why do we need to tap into this subconscious? Because we all have limiting beliefs or negative beliefs inside our head that are blocking us, and they are stopping us of either healing or getting over our phobias, or even manifesting good situations or abundance or financial ease in our life. And it is very important to understand where those beliefs and limitations come from. Among also the many benefits of theta healing is that when we are in that brain wave, it reduces stress and anxiety. It leads to a really deep relaxation. It enhances our mental and our mental health and our creativity, and it minimizes pain or aches, or it increases euphoria and happiness in our system, even involuntarily, when we are in that state of brainwave. So, what happens in a theta healing session? You are all wondering about that. The main core of theta healing is what we call digging. And the purpose of that digging is someone comes with the main issue, with the problem, with the situation. And what we want to do is to actually dig, you know, like an archaeologist. I know there's something, but I want to know what's really beneath. So we start the process of digging until we actually reach the base of the pyramid, or like the base of the iceberg. And we call this the bottom belief. And once we reach it, because it's like a pyramid, if I remove the base, everything on the top will collapse. All the negative beliefs will collapse. Because this bottom belief can hold on top of it, like, I don't know, 20, sometimes 30, 50 limiting beliefs. And I'm gonna name some of them because they're gonna sound familiar to you. When we think, I don't deserve happiness, life is a struggle, I deserve pain, I am not good enough, money is evil, all those kind of limiting beliefs, we all have them in different levels and variations. But all these have a core, have a base, they come from somewhere. And one of the most striking limiting beliefs that I've been hearing maybe ever since I was born when it comes to Lebanon is, this country is doomed. This country is hopeless. Even like I remember my own father, I was a kid, and all I remember whenever he was watching news or talking about politics, he would say, البلد رايح زوال. This country is doomed. So where where do you think such a belief comes from? It doesn't come only from what happened recently in Beirut. It doesn't come from the blast or economic situations or the conflicts or the 2006 war or the civil war. Such belief is part of a collective memory that we have as Lebanese people, and it is held in what we call in Theta Healing historical level. What is this historical level? So remember that hardware I told you about, the subconscious, it has 4 levels. The first one that we call core level is everything we acquire and learn from the age of 0 until 8. In that stage as kids, we are like sponges. We absorb, we learn, we analyze in a child's logic, and we store things. And then we have the genetic level. It is what we inherit from our ancestors, parents, relatives, my uncle, my aunt, my grandfather, my grandfather, uncle. And the same way we inherit the color, the color of our eyes, our bone structure, our looks. You know, I have my mother's nose or I have my dad's eyes, etc. The same way we inherit those genetic features that we see physically, we also inherit emotions and beliefs and sometimes traumas, and they all get stored in our cells on a DNA level inside our cells. And those go, the genetic belief, it's up to 7 generations. So what happens if we go beyond those 7 generations? We start talking about the historical belief. We start talking about the collective memory. It means it's not only about one person having this belief or a family. It becomes about an entire country. The whole land starts carrying this energy, such as Lebanon, that this country is doomed. And when the entire nation believes that the country is doomed, then it becomes doomed indeed. And the last level in our subconscious is what we call the soul belief, which is actually what makes us. It's our soul, and it's basically held around the aura or the zone around our heart. Now that you have understood those, it is important to know that science now is proving that physical illness and pains, they do come from emotions and feelings, and those are generated by traumas or accidents that happen with us. Trauma does actually affect the natural flow of what's happening inside our mind and body. It can block some organs. It can block the blood circulation. It can create a dis-ease, what we call disease. Let's look at the word in itself, dis-ease, which means something is not happening or functioning the way it should be, or disorder. Okay? So, how can we stop those dis-eases from manifesting? And let's say I or you get, or we are struggling or suffering from a dis-ease. Is it too late to reverse the situation? Can we fix this? Of course we can. And I'm not only talking about the medical intervention. Of course I can have a surgery. I can take pills that would ease my pain. But What medicine is doing, it is removing the symptoms of those diseases and disorder. But what we want to look at is the source. How did this disease manifest itself in my body? Why am I feeling this pain? Why am I going through this allergy? Why is my body reacting like that? It's because there are certain emotions and feelings in my body that have not been dealt with from specific experiences, whether they belong to me or I inherited them from my ancestors or from my parents or generations. Um, okay, so in order for you to understand more what I'm talking about, I'm gonna now switch to the filmmaker side within me, the storyteller, and I'm gonna tell you two short stories. The first story is about a little boy called Joe, whose parents used to pick him up every day from school. Every day, Joe would wait for his parents. They would come every day at a specific time. And then one day, for some reason, they had a flat tire. They couldn't come on time to pick him up. And Joe didn't know that. And he was watching all his friends and classmates being, accompanied by their parents or going, by bus going home except him. And he didn't understand what was going on. So he felt angry, he felt sad. Uh, he felt that he was abandoned. So, what happened exactly in Joe's mind? The subconscious, in its illogical way of creating a self defense mechanism, is gonna tell Joe, okay, now that you are alone, that you are abandoned, you need to survive by yourself. You have to be strong, you have to be brave, you have to be courageous. So, what happens is that Joe, in his brain, there are gonna be links forming. Okay? I have to be abandoned to be strong. I have to be alone to be brave. I have to be sad so I can count on myself and become resilient. I have to be angry in order to move forward. And if this kid Joe never speaks about his emotions and this trauma, because for him as a kid it was a trauma, if he doesn't speak about it, he's gonna grow his entire life subconsciously attracting a situation or many situations in his life where he has to go again through an experience where he is left alone or lonely in order to master the virtues of strength, of being brave, of moving forward. All right? Can we see and understand the link inside Joe's brain, how it functioned on a subconscious level? Now, I'm gonna tell another story that is gonna seem more familiar to you. An explosion blasted in Beirut on August 4, 2020, bringing with it a massive destruction and a whole bunch of emotions to every single person, whether they were there inside the explosion or if they witnessed it on their phones or on television. You're gonna have to excuse my cat. She's outside. She wants to go and participate in this session. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. So, when we all witnessed and saw this explosion, the feelings, the feelings that came to the surface at the moment of the explosion and after it are countless and so mixed up together that we couldn't, all of us, we were in a state of emergency. We couldn't discern which emotion we were feeling, or emotions actually, because they were all mixed together. We didn't know where to begin. We were angry, we were sad, we felt abused, attacked, unsafe, unloved, anxious, stress, etc. You name it. Lots of emotions. So, how does our subconscious deals with such amount of emotions when they are not expressed or released? It associates them with positive learnings, the same way that it happened with that kid named Joe that I told you about. And when I say positive virtues, like when it happened in the state of emergency, people needed to become stronger. They needed to be brave. They wanted to voice out everything that they have been holding inside their 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 throat. They went to demonstrations. They were shouting. They were fighting on TV and interviews, and they became more resilient, even though inside their brain they said, I don't want to be resilient anymore, but something deep inside kept pushing them forward because they wanted to survive and be strong. If it's not for themselves, it is for their kids, maybe. And because sadly, the government in our country was not there to offer support for us, was not there to offer justice, to uh, to have the people responsible for this explosion accountable. So it was up to our subconscious to process this and create this link. So what happens, what clicks inside our mind is, I have to be attacked to be compassionate, to, to think about my other fellow Lebanese. I have to be abused so I can have a voice. I have to be afraid to be brave. I have to be afraid to become resilient. I have to be anxious to be resilient. And they are all contradictory, but this is how our subconscious works. It has two roles: to protect us and to create solutions. And this is how it happens. Through a negative experience or a negative emotion comes another positive learning, another positive virtues. And this, inside our head, if all those emotions and all those negative beliefs, if they are not expressed and released, they're going to stay inside our body, inside our mind, and slowly they're going to start manifesting into diseases, disorders, and eventually they're going to be transferred from us to the next generation and the one after, the one after, the one after. And sadly, for people who lived throughout the Civil War, the explosion that happened in August brought back with it unsolved emotions and memories that either belong to us if we lived throughout the war, or from our parents or from our grandparents. And this is why the anger was even stronger than, like, on a much bigger scale, because it triggered the anger of the event itself, and it released again to the surface the anger and the injustice and the fear and the anxiety and the stress and the survival mode and the guilt and all the feelings that were, not dealt with and shut down for years now, ever since the Civil War started, or even before that. And this is what collective memory means. Everything came back again to the surface. So you see why it is important to understand and acknowledge our emotions and to speak about them, to say, yes, I am angry, I am not feeling well. It is okay, not to be okay. It is completely legitimate for us to feel afraid, um, abused, attacked, unsafe, unloved, etc. We owe our body to feel those emotions at that time, to understand them, so we can release them. If I don't know what's really going inside my body or inside my heart or inside my brain, I wouldn't know what to do about it or how to release it. And I'm gonna give you like an analogy. If we look at the destruction and at the city of Beirut after the explosion, we look at it and we say, oh my God, how, if we want to build this city again, where do I start from? This building or this building or this street? Our bodies and minds are simply a mirror to the city of Beirut. So before rebuilding a destroyed building or a destroyed house, we need to assess. I go to this house and I need to assess, okay, what kind of damage has been inflicted upon this house? And if I want to build it again, I need to take out the damage first. I need to take out the broken glass, the broken concrete, because what's the use of this broken piece of glass in this house? So I need to clear, and then I need to plan and be able to start building this house again. And it's the same for us. I need to understand what kind of emotions and feelings are happening inside my body. And I need to ask myself, does this feeling serve me? Do I still need this anger? And for how long do I want to hold on to this anger or to this fear or to this sadness? Because at one point, I need to release it, because if I don't, and if I decide to move on with my life, sooner or later, another event, and not necessarily an explosion, another event is gonna strike again, and it's gonna bring with it the old sadness, the old anger, and is gonna add to the anger of the new event, the sadness of the new event, and then we're gonna be even more overwhelmed with what happened, and we're not gonna be able to deal with the situation in a healthy and a proper way. So when I decided to participate in this event, Breathe with Beirut, I wanted to help as much as I can. I wanted to help people to rebuild and to restore their minds and their bodies by understanding and making a link between the event itself and their feelings, between the event and what's happening inside their body. And when those people are ready to release their emotions, they will release also their pains. They will stop those emotions from turning into diseases. They will stop those emotions from turning into limiting beliefs. And they're gonna stop the pattern and the cycle before it gets transmitted to another generation. And there's something important also that we have all witnessed and experienced. After the explosion, we all experienced on different levels physical symptoms. you know, teeth grinding, uh, uh, jaw muscle clenching, tummy ache, pain in the shoulders, pain in the neck, um, lack of sleep, loss of appetite, or sometimes like an uncontrolled appetite, heart palpitation, breathing problems, uh, all of those, they don't come from nowhere. They come from the trauma itself. And why each one of us felt those different pains in different places, because those emotions and feelings, each one of them, they are stored around a certain organ or around a certain area in our body. When we are facing symptoms like stomach ache or constipation problems or gut disorders, it's because anger, it stores itself around this area in our belly, and it affects not only the stomach and the intestines, it also affects the digestive system and all the organs around this area, including the kidneys, even around here, the liver. The liver can, when it's attacked by anger, it can really uh, begin to malfunction, and it starts to show symptoms that something is going wrong, something is not going well. When we are feeling a huge amount of grief and sadness, all this energy gets stored here in our, around our heart, around our lungs, and this the breathing, you know, trying to remember the word in English. I know it's in French, oesophage أو القصبة الهوائية, that starts from the lungs and stretches to the throat. And speaking of throat, many of us also experienced, you know, pains here, or we felt that something is, you know, clenching here. You know that feeling when you are really sad and you want to cry but you are not able, or someone tells you no, like you are not allowed to cry. You feel pain here, that something is breaking, something wants to go out. This is actually the organs and the tissues being overwhelmed by this feeling, you know, of this sadness and anger and all the unsaid emotions. They are stored here, they want to go out. And if they do not go out, that pain is gonna manifest itself and is gonna even affect the glands around this area. The pain in our shoulder is a sign of a burden. The pain in the lower back is a sign of lack of support. The pain in our knees, it's because we feel that we are not being able to move forward, and so on and so on. Every pain is a sign of emotions. So before going to the doctor, before taking those pills, or even while taking and doing the medical treatment, we need to understand, what am I treating? Am I treating only the symptom of the pain, or I'm treating the source? Because, as I said, those emotions, they can be silenced. Like the pill is just a band-aid, but sooner or later, those emotions are gonna surface again, and they're gonna hit us, and they're gonna hit us hard. So basically, this is the core of what I wanted to talk about in today's session, and to link it and to make you understand it from a theta healing point of view and from a storytelling point of view. So you can, in the middle, assess and compare and see, does that kid Joe that I told you about have any common, experiences? Have I been in situations as a kid where I felt an emotion, or I went through a trauma or experience where I didn't talk about it, or I didn't deal with it, and how did it affect me? And same goes for the explosion. So what happens is, when we start analyzing all the triggers that happen with us, this is where we begin the first step of healing. This is where we really summon the courage to break the pattern and start cleansing and releasing all the unwanted and useless emotions that do not serve us anymore. And this is where Theta Healing steps in, because sometimes we do need the intervention of the same way we need the intervention of a doctor. Sometimes we seek intervention that will make us feel comfortable. Some people find peace and relief when they pray, which is really good, because having this spiritual connection helps us also to, to release, helps us sometimes to keep believing that something good is coming, that we are not desperate, that we are not alone. Some people go and do therapies, which is great. Some people, they go to, they do meditation, they do yoga, they do Reiki, and some people do Theta Healing. All those modalities, as long as we are ready and aware that there are all those modalities and techniques and ways that are here to help us release, then we are good to go. We are ready to evolve, we are ready to move forward. And then every now and like when we are doing this process and this work, if someone asks us, Kifna Lyom or Kifna Lyom, or if we ask ourselves, we're gonna be able to look back and see, oh, at that point I was feeling this, and now I'm feeling something else. We're gonna be able to be objective, because when we put emotions aside and we look at all situations, when we detach them from the emotions, we have more clarity and we have the ability to solve them and to understand them and to cope with them in a more healthy way, in a more logic and in a more practical way than when we are so overwhelmed by the emotions. So I have also designed and prepared to end this session. I have prepared an exercise or a form that I called My Diary of Emotions. And you are all welcome to have access to it through the website. And it's a form that has 5 pages of questions and exercises that are going to help you assess, understand, and express your emotions. You're gonna be surprised when read like emotions that you're gonna think, oh, this is what I've been feeling, but I couldn't find the word for it. Or there are exercises where you're gonna be comparing what you are feeling now versus what you felt on the 4th of August, and so on and so on. So the purpose for this exercise is for you to, as a diary, to release, to write them down, to read them, and to understand what has been happening with you for the last 40 or 50 days. And when we're gonna meet in our next session on Thursday, I'm gonna be asking you about this exercise. I'm gonna be asking you about the challenges, or what went through your head or through your mind when doing this exercise. and we're gonna talk further about something that is very important in the process of healing and in the process of releasing emotions, which is forgiveness. I don't know if any of you has any questions that you want to ask or any comments before we wrap this session. All right then. So that's it for today. Thank you again. Thank you so much for giving yourself the time to listen. And I hope, like I said in the beginning, that you now that you are understanding how we all function as human beings and logging off now with a bit of extra knowledge, that this is going to make you feel a bit better about yourself. And with the exercise that I hope you will do, I hope that I was able to trigger something. I was able to invite you and to prepare you to start the process of healing, because this is what we all need right now. We need to heal our brain, our hearts, before we start healing our country, before we start building our beloved city, Beirut. We need to start healing individually, and this beautiful energy is going to spread, and this is where we're going to be able to build our city on good, solid grounds. Sending you lots of love from Toronto, and I'm looking forward to see you again on Thursday. And even for those who didn't attend this session, I also hope to meet new faces on Thursday. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your evening.